What's up everybody and welcome to the Beats Authority. In this channel we review albums from a producer point of view, and today we are reviewing Remember That You Will Die by Polyphia. I'll be honest, I don't know much about them. I remember seeing them a few years ago playing Y2K and Baby No Money's song La La La. The guitar player was playing it and it was pretty cool and pretty impressive. I checked their music and I found them pretty interesting, but I didn't go deep. And since I've been following them on Instagram, and so I see some snippets here and there, and I kind of like it, surprisingly. And I say surprisingly because in rock music in general, I'm not gonna be specific about what type of rock we're talking about, but in general, I don't like when it's way too technical and it feels like super robotic, because usually musically it doesn't have a big value to my ears. I don't connect with it emotionally. It doesn't make me feel anything. But these guys actually make me feel a certain way. I like their music. I like what I heard a few times in the snippets. So I'm like, okay, there are things that I wanted to review that dropped today, but I think this will be the most interesting. So let's see what they have to say. Genesis with Brasstracks. This is a great intro. Amazing way to start the album. It just puts you in the right state of mind for what's about to happen. The arrangement is great. The guitar solos, I don't know if you can call them solos because they are throughout the whole song. There is so much details and ear candies where getting bored is not a possibility to your ears. It just keeps going and it doesn't stop. The way this is mixed, the panoramic between left and right, and sometimes they cross to the middle. The dialogue between the brass and the guitars, and how the guitar leaves and makes space for the brass when it's time, and the brass leaves and makes space for the guitar when it's time, but it's still there. It's honestly, in terms of mixing, arrangement, songwriting, this is beautiful work. Great switch in the rhythm at the end. A lot going on for just 3 minutes and 14 seconds. This is a lot of effort and it's highly appreciated. Honestly, beautiful work. Playing God. This drummer is playing God. Rhythmic section is unbelievable. Here my highlights are obviously the drum section, but also the mixing of the guitar and the placement and the reverbs, how it's just what you need. It's perfectly dosed. I see that this is produced by Y2K, Johan Lennox, that I've seen live, and Judge. Very different type of music. These come from pretty different background actually, and I love that a guy like Y2K does hardcore EDM trap. He does super catchy pop, and he does everything in between, and he's actually really good at all of it. So I love this type of collaboration where it's people from different worlds coming up together to produce for people that have nothing to do with any of their words, and this is what makes it special and makes it sound different. And I love this. The Audacity with Anomalie, beautiful, super precise. This is very, very technically impressive in terms of composition to do this type of music. Anomalie is a great key player. Pretty impressive to see and to hear. Usually when you invite somebody, you give them their section, you give them their 16 bars or whatever, and they do their things. These guys, when they invite somebody, they literally integrate them around what they do, and they give them room to add spices throughout the whole thing. So literally when I hear this, I can hear Anomalie. For the first song, I can hear Brasstracks, but also I can hear Polyphia's style that is dominant, but that is inviting the others to be themselves within their realm. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty inviting. It's really cool. Reverie. So when you hear that wolf in the beginning, you know that's Y2K in the production. I really like the funky rhythm here. It's not too much. I like how the bass player did his thing, had his section. Everything is in its right place in terms of space, in the spectrum, in terms of frequencies, in terms of arrangement and time. I'm actually really impressed, and it kind of feels hip-hoppy in a way. All this mix of all these different things, that melodically it's rich, rhythmically it's rich, sound design wise it's rich, technically is very rich. That's more objective, and subjectively it feels emotionally rich to me. ABC with Sophia Black introducing the vocals in this album. This is the first first song that has a singer, and she is amazing. This is a pop song with a jazz delivery, with J-pop section, with kind of rocky way of playing music, with a classically trained musicians, and the result is just an explosion. It's fireworks in your brain. I'm impressed. This is excellent. Memento Mori with Killstation. So what I like the most about this song, my highlight, is basically the arrangement. How when they invite somebody that is a singer in this case, the arrangement is not a classic arrangement whatsoever. These guys give him space and make sure they take their own space also. Everybody is doing their own thing in a perfect harmony where it's not too much of this, and even how his voice sounds makes sense in regards to the song and the entirety of the album. It's very, very tastefully done. Fuck around and find out with Snot. What I notice is that the guitar and the rap are being played together, so I wonder if they gave him the melodies and the flow, or they worked on it together, or he did his thing and then they added. That would be the easiest scenario, but whatever it is, the integration of the features to their word is really amazing. Really rare to see collabs so beautifully integrated. All falls apart, beautiful chord progression, but even more beautiful than the chord progression is the sound design. Here, the guitars and the brass and the keys and the wah-wah effect on the guitar, or maybe somewhere else, is just like overlapping where you don't know who's doing what, and sometimes they're kind of all together, sometimes one of the instruments pops out. Neurotica is purely flex at this point. This is pretty impressive technically, but also melodically, and of course sound design, how the guitars are sounding is just great, and it's so much going on. Chimera with Lil West. This song is crazy. It has a Spanish sounding intro, and then super dark guitars coming later, then we're back to the Spanish, and then having some hip-hop 808 bassy, maybe it's not 808 but 808 sounding bass with rock drums, and then some breaks that kinda use EDM logic in the tension and release, and then car sound effects thing that introduced the verse of Lil West that took the whole thing somewhere else completely, and having drums and guitars that are pretty complex, and the guy stays on top of it, and it's not like cluttering, and it's not fighting with the rapper. It's a very, very subtle balance to have here between not doing too much and having the rapper comfortable and having space for him to shine first, but everything else to still matter. Bloodbath with Chino Moreno. So in case you didn't know who that is, it's Deftones singer. This guy is a legend, and honestly I really appreciate the fact that they left this song last with the next one that is with Steve Vai, who is a guitar legend, and they put the homies first. They're not even trying to convince you, yo, we have the approval of the legends. No, they put their friends first and they put the legends last, which is a very nice and humble thing to do. I love this actually. So now back to the song. What I find really beautiful here is the fact that it sounds like Deftones, but it sounds like Polyphia as well. This is a very beautiful mix of both, where the vocals are very, very strong, the way they're mixed, tons of reverbs and delays on them, and like all these different things that makes it sounds like them, but at the same time integrate that within the Polyphia word, and that outro, that flex in the guitar of Ego Death with Steve Vai. The solos of the guitars are just insane here. The second half of the songs, when Steve Vai starts and the guitar starts crying and it just takes it somewhere else. This is a beautiful homage and paying respect to Steve Vai and highlighting him to the newer generation, because obviously they are influenced by him, and having him here as a last song and calling it Ego Death. I don't know these guys personally, but what what they're doing, my interpretation of it and how I see them, they sound like great human beings. That's my perception that I get from the music only. In conclusion, Remember That You Will Die by Polyphia is a masterpiece to me. Beautiful, beautiful work. The sound design, the arrangement, the mixing, how complex it is, but it sounds very simple, but it's definitely not. And having so many things happening, the integration of the rappers and the singers and other instruments that are not from the band, the way they literally blended together, and beautiful work of collaboration. This album is a lesson in collaboration basically, and super technical but yet super emotional, and it takes you through so many journeys of different things and different feelings and different visuals. And I'm really impressed because to see this happening in 2022 where artists are so lazy and so not willing to put the work, and to see these guys working so hard to make something that is very impressive from every single point of view. Honestly, this gives me hope in rock, it gives me hope in music, it gives me hope in humanity even, because this is nice. Let me know what you guys think about this album, about Polyphia, and thank you for listening, and see you next week. Peace.